Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy 8 p.m. It's Richard, and today's topic is balancing enjoying life and working hard at the same time. I guess this conversation, this topic really comes about because I guess in a way I'm thinking about today. For anyone who's on, thanks for hopping on. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, today's Sunday for me here in California, and I guess the reason why this is the topic of today is because I am kind of one of those people who just feels like I get to keep working in a way. It's something that I enjoy doing, but at the same time, it's how do I say this? It's like there's always so much to do on the to-do list. Like yesterday, I had 21 items to do, and I didn't accomplish half of them, so they ended up being on my to-do list for today. So I still have like 21 items for today to do. And then there's some things where I'm like, you know what, I don't have time to do this today, so I'll have to push off till later. So it's like, how do we balance enjoying life and also working hard at the same time? This is just a great conversation to talk openly. Just being, hey, good to see you on. Hello, hello. It's been a while. Yes. What do you do for fun these days? Honestly, okay. Let's answer that question. What do we do for fun? What does Richard do for fun? Um, goodness, this is an interesting question for me. What do I do for fun? It's a work. um, I don't know. I talk to my girl. I don't know how to say this. It's like my life is very work, quote unquote work, or my passion is very integrated into my life. So it's like I feel like my life is it's like it, it's what I here. I don't know. That's a very hard question for me to answer if you haven't figured out by now. I think a better way for me to figure out how to answer this question is really to just share with you what my life is like right now. So, in general, on a typical day, it's like I will try to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning. Do my morning rituals. Meditate, affirmations, visualization, and then about every other day, I'm going to the gym or working out or something like that. And well, what else? After I'm done with all that stuff, after I'm done with my workout, showering, all that stuff, I typically start I guess you can say my work day, which starts with a to-do list. I have accumulated to-do list of what I get to accomplish today. And that usually takes up all day. And sometimes, like for the past 2 days, I've been putting like a little cutoff of like, uh, you know, 4 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. This is when you get to stop working, Richard. So I don't burn myself out. And what I realize is that sometimes I get to 4 o'clock or 5:30 p.m. where I'm supposed to stop working, but I just feel like I didn't accomplish very much today. So I kind of just keep working. So that's definitely something that I'm still trying to work through. Like, how do we balance all of this? And let me answer your question. What do I do for fun? Honestly, it's like, goodness, I got to work on that a little bit. I got to work on that a little bit more. Uh, I guess I don't know. Going to the gym is a little bit fun. I used to hate working out, but I do enjoy going to the gym a little bit. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Either way, I still push myself to go. I enjoy playing basketball. I play basketball currently about once a week, once or twice a week at most. Um, what else do I like to do for fun? Once in a while, I'll watch YouTube videos. I do enjoy learning things, listening to podcasts and things like that. But once in a while, for my gamers out there, let's see. You know what? I still do watch just like it's interesting, like little gaming videos here and there, like League of Legends to be specific. I don't play the games. I don't play video games right now. But once in a while, I'll just, if I want to just get my mind off work stuff, I'll watch some videos for a few minutes and then whatever, get back to work or do something else. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I do for fun. Besides that, I do talk to the girl that I'm dating quite frequently. So that's another thing you say that I do for fun. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, I'm dating someone right now. Let's see. Sonia, Sonia, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that you love my YouTube channel. Have you heard about 3D thinking? Very much a mind opener on how to actually get a lot of the to-do list done. I have not heard of the 3D. Was that 3D thinking? I'm googling it right now. What is okay? I'm reading this right now. All right. What is 3D thinking according to discoveringdyslexia.com, or the first Google answer that I found here? Thinking verbally consists of composing mental sentences into one word. Okay. Nonverbal learners mainly think in pictures. They think with three-dimensional multisensory images that evolve and grow as the thought process adds more information. I'm wondering if that's the relevant one that you're talking about 3D thinking. If that is not the right one, Sonia, please let me know what exactly is 3D thinking. Please inform all of us who are watching this right now what 3D thinking is. I would love to know a little bit more about what that is. That'd be interesting. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, so today's conversation again, it's we'll get back to Sonia's 3D thinking conversation. I'm curious to know what that is. Again, today's conversation is about how do we balance work and enjoying life at the same time. This is a fascinating conversation for me today. I'm just genuinely curious because I'm going to be very honest. Today was not a very balanced day for me. Today I felt very burnt out. Yes, it is Sunday, but I don't know how to say this. Like for me, I'm working through it. You know, there's some weeks I'm hotter than others. This week I'm not as hot with managing whatever energy that I have. Like it's uh, this weekend specifically. You know, I've always had this idea of like I don't know. I'm passionate about what I do. I enjoy what I do, but it's like there's certain parts of the business side that's like it's very mind consuming. It's very like takes a lot of processing and thinking, and it gets pretty intense. So with that being said, yeah, it's what I realized for myself is like we do get to take breaks sometimes. Like my mind is it's almost not even here right now. It's because I've been focusing on work so much these past these past few weeks. Or you know, obviously for a long time, but specifically this week, every single day it's been brainstorming. Uh, and I tried taking a break today for the past 2 hours, and it's been challenging. I've been taking a break on one side, but it doesn't feel like it's a long enough break, and my mind just wants to kind of go back into getting some work done. So it's I think creating those boundaries is important if I'm reflecting in hindsight, which is what I'm doing on this live stream right now. Okay, so here a few thoughts came up for me today, and this is kind of why I want to share this conversation of, I guess in a way, how do we balance enjoying our life and also working hard at the same time? This also led me to think about, you know, what is the ultimate purpose of life? You know, like what is the ultimate purpose of our lives? You know, your life, my life. It's to the individual. You know, not defined by society or religion or you know someone else's philosophy, but rather our own philosophy. What is the purpose of our own individual lives? So, you know, there's a huge how do I say this? I used to identify myself very heavily with this concept of you know, my life is all about impact. It's all about making a difference in people's lives. And sometimes I feel like I got to take a little bit of a step back. Like sometimes I wonder, is that truly my own like Richard Quo's purpose of life is to make an impact in people's lives? Or is that the ideal that was given to me based off of my environment, based off of all the leadership things I've been a part of, based off of all the people, you know, the entrepreneurs I surround myself with? Like ultimately, how do we each define what is our own purpose of our lives? And I don't know how to say it. It's like the more I I don't have a exact clear, you know, 100% answer. I've always had like this I have always had this ideal of like what my life is all about, my purpose of my life. And that's always been something around along the lines of helping people, uh, I guess, change their self-worth conversation. It's helping people. I've, more recently focused around students in helping them to just shift the way they like. This is very self-esteem related. It's like helping students realize that whatever the learning. Hold on. Helping students to accept their insecurities and just move forward from those, and just embrace their insecurities, love themselves, and ultimately live life in alignment with who they truly want to be. Like that's always been kind of like my mission of what I do. Um, but I'm also thinking, how do I say this? Is there another goal in Richard's life as well? Is there this aspect of, you know enjoying the journey of it? Is there an aspect of relaxing, or is am I supposed to, in a way, um, dedicate my whole entire life to this one cause and not relax? And what's interesting is, at the end of the day, it's like we all got to make that decision. What is our life all about? So, if I'm being completely honest, and I know this is not very, how do you say this, like valiant. It's not like, um, but like there's a part of me that feels like I get to be a little bit more selfish. There's a part of me that feels like I get to, you know, um, whatever it is, not in this moment, but just general stereotypical feeling of like, Richard, you get to take a break. Richard, you get to whatever, go travel the world a little bit too. You get to do selfish things, not just focus on impacting the whole entire world and whatever, changing the world, all that stuff. So this is a conversation that I'm still working through in this moment as I speak. It's like, am I settling? Am um I don't know how to say this. Yeah, am I settling? Am I saying these things because whatever it is, I'm burnt out, exhausted, all these things, or like what is it? So, whew, yeah, in this moment, how do I say this? It's weird. So in this moment as I speak, it's like I feel like I have an answer, and I am a little bit afraid to say my answer out loud. Um, I probably will in just a second. I guess I'm thinking about like what are my fears. I feel like my fears come from, it's almost like I'm afraid if I say it out loud that you will judge me. But the interesting thing is, I'm not afraid of you judging me. I'm afraid of me judging myself for hearing how you judge me. Does that make sense? So here's my thought here. Um, I guess in a way, again, this is a very imperfect idea. This is a very imperfect. It's not like 100% thought, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. So I've always identified very heavily with, my image, kind of the person that I want people to see me as is Richard, the person who's, super passionate, focused on whatever it is, making a difference in the world. It's someone who cares a lot about people, and someone who is focused on his mission in his life. A very positive, altruistic mission. And I think, how do I say this? What I'm realizing in this moment possibly is that maybe I'm trying too hard to be something, like forcing myself to be something that maybe isn't 100% me. And maybe what I get to do instead is focus on just being myself, focus on following my own, whatever, my own bliss, my own path, and just letting that be. Because in this moment, what I feel is, what is the point of pushing myself so hard if I'm not enjoying today? Like why? I get it. People, I don't know how to say it. It's like people can argue. By the way, whatever people argue is almost like I'm open to it, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter because it's not my life. So here's what I mean by this. So what is the point of me pushing myself, working so hard every single day, not to the point where I'm burnt out, not enjoying the process of it? Um, if if I'm not enjoying the process of it. Um, there's two trains of thoughts that I have going on right now. Number one is it could be sacrifice now so you could be happy later, which is like, put in the hard work because the end result down there will whatever make you happy, all that stuff. But I don't think that is necessarily the right answer. What I feel in my gut in this moment right now, which is what I feel in this moment right now, which is my current truth. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I were to trust myself and listen to my own advice, um, I believe this is where the reality, the truth is for Richard Quell. And my truth for myself is that, like I said before, I believe happiness is now. I believe that right now is the time to be happy. As in, if you are pressuring yourself so much in your life right now, then maybe you're not doing the right thing for yourself. If you are generally not happy in this moment right now, if Richard Quo feels pressured, and he's not enjoying this kind of pressure, then maybe I'm not doing it right. So I think there's a healthy pressure, and I think there's a not so healthy pressure. I think today's pressure for myself was a not so healthy pressure. Today's pressure was, Richard, you got so much work to do. It was like, you got to keep pushing through. You got to keep going, and you still got more to do. Like, it's never ending. And I think, really, how do I say this? My man, I'm hearing the counter arguments. It's because my brother Kevin, is all about being productive. My brother Kevin is all about sticking to your goals, working really hard. Hustle, 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 hustle. And when I listen to my brother's voice, which used to be a very dominant voice in my life, he would say, "No, Richard, like you got to push through. It's if it's uncomfortable, if it's hard, you got to keep pushing through." But I don't know, like, what if that's not what my life is about? What if Richard Quo's life is about enjoying the process? What if it's about taking things a little bit easier, still pursuing the passion, still going after it, but not being as aggressive? Like, what if that's part of what I want in my life? So I think this is where it's important, where we got to listen to ourselves versus listening to everyone else. So this is my very unfiltered thoughts out loud, something that I'm still processing in this moment. And I will get your comments right now, as I see that you all have written some comments here. Okay, so I'm going to start. Let me see here. Let's see, Tom. I'm going to get to your comment in just a second. Or actually, I'm going to read Tom Sturgis's question right now because it's rather short. Tom says, "Hey Richard, my brother sent this to me about the purpose of life. At about 3 minutes in, it will get to the purpose, which is the journey / experience, not the destination." Awesome, Tom. I'm going to check out that video right after this live stream. I think that sounds like a pretty cool video to watch. And hold on, I'm going to do everyone else a favor right now. And most people are watching on YouTube right now, and Tom is on Facebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the link and post it into paste it into the YouTube comments. Purpose of life. And oh, whoopsie daisy. Hold on, I gotta recopy and paste that link. All right, there we go, everyone. I just posted the link that talks about the purpose of life, according not according to, but what Tom sent to us. Alrighty, thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. All right, so let's get back into these comments right now. Cool. Keely says, "I think there are times that we all have to be selfish sometimes." Sonia says, "Same here. My mission is also to impact as many people as I can." Yes, yourself first in order to help others next. Sonia continues by saying, "Because how can we help others if we can't help ourselves?" John Maxwell's quote. I'm guessing that's let's see, not clear where that's going. IC Henry says, it's just easier to be one's authentic self." Ooh, that's an interesting comment. I'm drawing a lot from that actually. So I want to talk about this real briefly, which is it's just easier to be one's authentic self. Is it? Is it easier to be one's authentic self? I see what you're trying to say here, but I want to challenge this just for not just for the sake of challenging it, but just to really process this. Is it really easier to be one's authentic self in today's age where we have so many peer pressures, we have so many, we have so many outside forces where we have, you know, our parents, our siblings, our friends, all these people influencing us? Is it generally easier to be one's authentic self? Or is it right to be one's authentically self? I bring this up because I believe in today's age, it is rather difficult to be one's authentic self because of all the pressures and stuff like that that we have from external forces. I believe it is right to be one's authentic self, which is the journey that I believe we are all kind of striving towards, is to just be our authentic self. Okay. Sonia says we got to work hard, but work smart. I agree. Yes. Enjoy the process. I agree with that. Sonia says, so you have two devices when you're live streaming, Facebook and YouTube? Yes, I have two devices on right now. Let's see. I used to do streaming on one camera. I'm like, ooh, this is the best thing in the world. Like, it's so easy to do. But then I realized that it ultra lags when I try to do it 2-on-1. So I split it up. One's on my mobile, hi Facebook, and then one's on YouTube. So the cams are right next to each other. So yeah, that's what I have. Let's see here. I feel like I missed a question somewhere. Did I miss something? Nope. No, I did not. Not that I see. Okay. P says, yes, normally our intuition is very quiet, but accurate. And then Alex Washington says, what do you think it means to walk in your purpose? This is already a good question, and we haven't even finished. How do you identify you're in the right place or you're in the wrong place? Okay. Alex, that's a great question. I like it. So what do you think it means to walk in your purpose? Ooh, I don't know. That's just like a good sounding question. It's deep. Okay. So what I believe it means to walk in my purpose. Thank you for asking about that question. For me, walking my purpose is, number one, it's identifying what is my purpose. What is Richard Quo's purpose? What is Alex Washington's purpose? What is, Sonia's purpose? Like it's identifying what that purpose is. And then number two is following that purpose, living life in alignment with whatever you decided was your purpose. And then we could dive a little bit deeper into that, but I want to give you the highlights first. And then how do you identify you're in the right place, or if you're in the right place or the wrong place? So this, I feel like, is where we get to trust our heart. This is where we get to listen to our heart and ask that gut instinct, are we in the right place right now, or are we in the wrong place? I believe that's it in simple terms. So if something feels off to you, something's like, ooh, like I'm really enjoying this, but something's off. I think that's that's your heart trying to tell you, you're not moving in the right direction. Shift your focus, change paths, change that direction. But let's say, your gut instinct is like, man, this is so tough, but this feels like it's the right place. It feels like I'm in the right direction. Then there we go. Then you're in the right place. I think that's in my opinion how you define quote unquote what's right and wrong for you. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good bookend to that question right there. Alex Washington continues by saying, Whoopi Goldberg sums up authentic self in the video. The video title is exclusive: Whoopi Goldberg on the price of being yourself, Oprah's masterclass. So there we go. On the price of being yourself. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna copy that into the Facebook video recommendation. There we go. There you go. I just copied and pasted that into Facebook. So anyone who's watching on Facebook has access to that link, or not the link, just the title that you can Google search I think that sounds like a pretty good video to watch. Goldberg, Whoopi Goldberg on the price of being yourself. I think that's pretty awesome. Let's see here. And then I saw Tom. I saw you make comments. Let's see. Tom says it's Alan Watts' analogy is that the purpose of a concert isn't to get to the end. It is to enjoy it along the way. Otherwise, the best concerts would only be the finale. Yeah. Mm. True that. True that. Exactly. Indeed, indeed. Alrighty. So Sonia says, I think it's not easy to be authentic, but it's sure right to be authentic. I'm learning this one as I work on developing myself. I agree as well. I think that's such a powerful thing we get to do as human beings is to continue striving to be our true authentic selves. I think it's a beautiful journey. You know, I think any of us, all of us who has this idea and understanding and this wisdom/knowledge that we are currently on path to work towards our true authentic self, I think that's a gift. You know, a lot of people don't understand this concept yet. A lot of people are struggling to not just find themselves, but they're struggling to fit in. They're struggling to, how do I say it? They're struggling to have a internal sense of joy or happiness. And I think for me personally, I think, you know, the purpose of life for everyone is to be authentically happy. That's kind of the conclusion that I came down to. And we all individually get to figure out what makes us happy, authentically happy. So that's not just a surface level happy, but like a fulfilled. What makes us feel fulfilled? All right. Let's see. Alex says, do you feel there are no mistakes but lessons? And with every mistake, you need to take it as a lesson. What have you gained from your darkest hour? Man, these are you are one deep person. I like this. These are great questions. So, I do an affirmation every single morning. That's very similar to this conversation. Is the affirmation is? Hold on. Let me think about this. The affirmation is, I never lose. I either win or I learn. Again, that's I never lose. I either win or I learn. So this idea is, if I quote unquote fail, that's not a failure. What that really is it's just an opportunity to learn. So, yeah, that's what I got. But let me answer your question from my own voice, not the affirmation voice that I try to. Do I feel like there's no mistakes but lessons? I don't say that I'm right in my belief, but this is what I believe. I do believe I do make mistakes. However, mistakes are always learning opportunities for me. That's the authentic internal voice of Richard. That's the I think the idealistic voice that I'd like to get to is that, in a way, there are no mistakes. Like every mistake is an opportunity to learn. It's a lesson. So did you catch that small little difference? I do believe there's mistakes, and I do make mistakes, and it's an opportunity to learn. Versus, I don't believe there's mistakes, just learning opportunities. So I think there's a little bit of shift in there. It's like, I don't know, it's being a little bit more positive. I just thought about, I want to share a little quote that I heard from somewhere. I can't remember. I think it was Impact Theory that I was listening to today. But this quote, it's by, is that Quincy Jones? Quincy Jones, is he the producer guy for Michael Jackson? What was it? I don't remember what the question was. It was something along the lines of like, how do you manage to stay happy or positive through all these challenges in your life? And Quincy Jones, or whoever it is, says, his comment was, I don't have problems in my life. I only have puzzles. And I'm like, ooh, nice. I like that. I don't have problems. I only have puzzles. So I like this quote because what I'm getting from this idea is that in our lives, it was with Jim Quick. Jim Quick, he's a brain guy. Jim Quick on Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu. So Jim Quick was saying, Quincy Jones was saying, I don't have problems. I only have puzzles. And this idea is that everything is solvable. You know, if there's a challenge, it could be solved. So I really like that reframe. I think it's a very powerful one. Let's see here. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Leland says Rashida's dad. Not clear. Please explain. What does that mean, Rashida's dad? Oh, Alex, I didn't answer the remainder of your question. The last two questions you wrote, and you said, and with every mistake, you need to take it as a lesson. I don't. Here's a little quick fix. So, in terms of languaging, positive languaging, one thing I've learned is to stop using the word need to, and change anytime you say need to, change it to get to. So instead of I need to, I need to do work, say I get to do work. And for me, it's been a nice little shift in the way I think about things, because it reminds me that everything I do is a privilege. I need to take out the trash is a privilege. By saying I get to take out the trash, I get to wash the dishes, I get to, do work, all this stuff. So, anyway, let's get back to this question. With every mistake, you get to take it as a lesson. I get to take these things as a lesson. I don't need to. I don't need to take anything as. I don't need to do anything, right? So I get to take these things as a lesson. So that's my comment there. So if there is a mistake, I do get to take it as a lesson. And as much as I can, absolutely. Every single mistake is just an opportunity to learn. That's what I believe. And the last question is, what have you gained from your darkest hours? Darkest hour in terms of making mistakes and things like that. Let's see. What I'll say is what I learned from my darkest hour, like my darkest times, is that in a way that we all go through them. We all have our darkest times, and I guess really what I would say I learned is to forgive myself, is to acknowledge that we all go into our dark times, that we all have these little phases where it almost feel like we are powerless in a way. It almost feels like these really dark emotions kind of take over us. So number one is acceptance, self-acceptance. Like, hey, you know what? It's okay. Number two is to just let that negative energy, all that stuff, those negative thoughts, just let them flow. Don't try to resist them. Just let them flow. And they say what you resist persists. So the more you resist that negative energy, the more you pretend it's not there, the more you pretend, or the more you try to avoid it, it's going to persist. It's going to stay there. So I learned to just let it flow, accept, let it flow. And eventually with time, it will go away. Patience is definitely another thing. And also I also learned the way to get out of those darkest hours is to take action, move forward. I believe what supported me to get out of my dark times of, let's say almost a year ago is when I started to get into this really dark period for about 6 months, where I was like just really, really negative, depressed, like all this kind of stuff. That was the most recent, like really dark period of my life. And let's see. What helped get me out of it was to start taking little baby steps towards it. Like I did not feel like doing anything, but I slowly did little things. Like I didn't want to go exercise. I was just way too lazy to go exercise. Not lazy, unmotivated. I'm like, what's the point of working out? Like I don't, screw that. But then for me, I like on a more, how do I say this? On a more organic, natural level, I like to do little challenges. I don't like to push myself overly push myself, but I like things that have nice little statistical goals. So an example is one of the first things I did when I was in my dark period was first recognizing that I was in a dark period. And then I'm like, okay, what can I do that will boost whatever I don't know what neurochemicals, endorphin, serotonin, whatever, like what's going to make me feel a little bit happier. And I knew it's like doing something active. So I knew developing a skill would make me happier. And at that time, when I was in my dark period, I remember I was playing video games. I was playing League of Legends, and there's a part of me that I was trying to develop skills in League of Legends, but at the same time, I recognized that the habit was really unhealthy. It made me have a lot of negative energy because a lot of people would say mean things, and I'd get really frustrated. So I'm like, what's a habit that I can uh immerse myself with that's not negative? And I realized shooting 3-pointers was my thing. So some of you might have seen me shoot a bunch of 3-pointers every single week. I had a challenge. I challenged myself in 8 weeks. I wanted to improve my 3-point shooting percentage from 30 out of 100 shots, increase it to 60 out of 100 shots. So that's a 30% increase. And I got pretty close. I think I either hit 54 or 56 out of 100 in over the 8 week period. But anyway, that was like one of those small things that helped keep me accountable. It was fun. So action definitely helped get me out of that period. So that's kind of what I gained from my darkest hour. It was, acknowledgement, acceptance, and action. Oh goodness, I just gave you my Richard's formula for success without even noting it. I called it 3 A's: acknowledgement, acceptance, and action. So acknowledging that whatever, I have a problem or a challenge I'm working through. Accepting that I have on a deeper level, just being okay with it. And number 3 is action. I think action is the biggest one, which is moving forward, doing something, not just sitting there. So there we go. Alex says, you aren't happy until you've been sad. I like that. So in a way, what Alex is saying is sadness, I'm just gonna sadness gives us perspective of what happiness is. So our sad times, our dark moments, creates perspective of what happiness is. Yeah. NG Grant says, just came up after watching Dragon Ball Super. Nice. Learn before you win. And Keith says, hey, do you feel you have any negative effect of playing video games still affecting you? Hold on. This looks like a good question. Let me break this down. Do you feel like you have any negative effect of playing video games still affecting you? Okay, so this question could be interpreted in 2 ways a little bit. Negative effects of playing video games still affecting you. So do I, Richard, still have negative aspects? So I used to play a lot of video games. Do those negative aspects of playing video games still affect me today? That's one way I'm interpreting this question. I think there's a second way to interpret too. So excuse me. Oh goodness, I don't know why this thing started. It's this weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's like mucus buildup while I'm talking. TMI, you didn't need to know that, right? Let's see. So negative effects of playing video games. Negative effects of playing video games. That's a tough. How do I say this? So here's what I'll say about this is I don't feel like video games is the problem. Yeah. So to answer your question to the best of my ability, I don't feel like video games was ever the problem. I think the problem is it's self-discipline. It's whatever it is, control, it's restraint, it's all of those things. I think video games is just a platform that in a way escalates or encourages certain challenges that we have. So negative effects of playing video games. So when I used to play a lot of video games, I can't blame video games for me playing video games and any kind of negative feeling, emotion / habits that I had. What I can blame is my lack of self-discipline and my impulsiveness, I guess you can say. So if I were to reframe this question, are there any negative effects of Richard's compulsiveness / lack of self-discipline? To answer that question, I want to say that I'm like everyone, I'm still working on improving myself every single day. So if we're talking about impulsiveness / self-discipline, I would say that that's something I'm still working on every single day. Self-discipline. I feel like that's like a never-ending growth cycle. Like we could always be more disciplined. We could always be better than we were yesterday. A great example for me today was So I've been pretty decent. I've been pretty decent with my sleep schedule, sleeping at a reasonable time, waking up at a reasonable time. Today, I was tired at night, or sorry, yesterday night I was tired. It was 10 p.m. and I'm like, I want to take a 30-minute nap. Set the alarm, slept right through it, slept throughout the night. The deepest sleep ever had in like this year or something like that. And I woke up, I talked to the girl I was dating, and then I went back to sleep. And next thing I knew, I didn't get up until 10:30. So pretty much I slept for quote unquote slept for 12 hours plus talked to the girl for a little bit. But yeah. So still working on building habits. Like that to me, that doesn't feel good to oversleep like that. Even though my body clearly was craving more sleep because I was completely knocked out throughout the 12 hours that I was in bed. Okay. Alrighty. I want to read these comments. Alex says, well, at Sonia, again, I wish my puzzles came with the instructions, but actually they do. I think as people, we just want them we want them to come already assembled. I like that. Yeah, I agree with that. As human beings, sometimes we want the easier way. Like we have problems, we wish we had the manual, it already came assembled. Like our problems were fixed. Oh goodness. Ooh, I want to share a story that I was told about, I think 2 or 3 days ago. Powerful story. I loved it. So I'm gonna share that in just a second. I think you'll enjoy it. Alex also says, also at the end of the day, you better hug yourself because you're the best lover you're going to have. No one can love you the way you can love yourself, and no one will until you know how you want to be loved. That's an interesting comment right there. Wow. That's Alex, that's a challenge for me. Like hearing what you say, I agree with you. I think we should be our best lovers for ourselves. If anyone's going to love us, I believe we should learn to love ourselves the most, and no one should know how to love us more than ourselves. And I don't mean that in a, egotistical, narcissistic way, but I think I mean that in a way that's positive. That's really that builds whatever self-esteem, self-love, that builds this love, like the positive vibes. I struggle with that. Like for myself, I think I want to say most of us struggle with that. I don't know if that's the truth, but I feel like most of us struggle with that, where we have a hard time loving ourselves. And you're saying no one can love you the way you can love yourself. Ooh, that sounds so challenging for me. Like I feel like I in a way feel like, if I'm being very open, I feel like other people love me more than I love myself. That's not a something I'm proud of, but I think that's my current truth in this moment. I'm still working on loving myself. So there we go. I'm going to catch up with the comments and I'll share with you the little cool story that I heard a couple days ago. I love this story. And yeah, Isaiah says, how to get over failure. I'm very athletic and was pretty successful in sports, but this one sport I failed at and it's eating me up. I was physically fit for the sport, but I was mentally weak, and it's been over 5 years. Till this day, it's really putting me down. It's ridiculous. Interesting. Isaiah, thank you. Thank you for opening up. That's I am grateful / honored that you're willing to open up and talk about this. I've heard this before, and you're not the first person I've heard this concept for. I know I have several friends who were all-star athletes, and their self-worth, their self-esteem was based off of the fact that they were athletic. And I think yesterday we had this conversation about how do we value our self-worth. And I think the main tip was like we spent an hour just breaking down where does self-worth come from and what's the best way to determine our self-worth. And the conclusion that we came to, or at least in the conversation that I came to, was to not attach our self-worth to things that are external to us. So, for example, I think being a successful athlete is something that's external. It's something that's, we're seeking validation from this. And I think it's hold on. I'm gonna quote Tom Bilyeu, who's billion-dollar. He's the founder of Impact Theory, which is the podcast I listen to all the time, and also Quest Nutrition, which is a billion-dollar company. Tom's suggestion is, in terms of self-worth, define your self-worth. Be careful not to define your self-worth based off something that is that can change, like change on the flip of a dime. For example, being an athlete. So I think athletes, like when athletes get injured and they can no longer play their sport, sometimes they get super depressed, they get crushed because that is their identity. So instead of basing your self-worth off that, Tom Bilyeu suggests base our self-worth on things that are like a constant, things that are constantly evolving. So Tom bases his self-worth on his growth. And what was it? I think it was his humility, his ability to constantly it was like growth and humility. It was like this idea of like, he knows that there are far smarter people out there. So his self-worth is based around the fact that he's always going to grow and that he could always learn from other people. So I really like that. So let me get Isaiah. Let's get to your question real quick. Let's be straight on this one. How do you get over failure? So you're very successful in your sports, and then you failed at one sport. So how do you get over this? Let's see. I'm processing, or I don't want to over process. I just want to think off the top of my head here. So I feel like using the 3-step, the 3A formula that I have, which is acknowledge, accept, action. So acknowledgement means you acknowledge that you didn't do as great as you wanted to with your sport. You quote unquote failed according to you. Acceptance is accepting that you quote unquote failed, that you disappointed yourself, and you feel hurt about it, but you also accept that whatever, this is the past. You accept that this thing happened and you can't change it. So I believe that moves on to step number 3, the third A, which is action. Action means, what do you get to do to move forward? Take that action to move forward. So in your case, I would say, how do I say this? I think you're still in the between acknowledgement and acceptance. So acceptance is the next big step that you get to do. You get to accept that this is something that happened to you. You get to accept that you quote unquote failed, and learn to start moving on from it. How do I say this? So also you're saying it's not physically that you struggled. It was more you see that you're mentally weak. To me, if you feel like you're mentally weak and that's what held you back, my logical straight answer is, if sports is really what's like at your core, like what you really want to do, I believe one way to increase your self-esteem, your self-confidence, is work on that mental toughness, because our mental strength is definitely something that we could constantly work at. And I think when you build up that mental resilience, that mental strength, you're going to feel more confident with yourself, and that will help you move forward. Yes. Okay. That's what I got right there. All right. I think we are all caught up with comments right now. Yes, we are. Wait for it. Leland says, Rashida Jones, Karen from the Office, her dad is Quincy Jones. No, I do not. All right. So one of the, I think there's 2 things I want to do before we wrap, 2.5 things I want to do before we wrap up this live stream tonight. Number 1 is I want to share with you a great, powerful story that I heard from one of my mentors. And then number 2 is answer any kind of questions that are still remaining. And number 3 is wrap up the whole conversation of how do we balance enjoying our life and working hard. Okay, I'm going to try making this as quick and simple as possible. So I might butcher this story a little bit because, again, it was told to me once, and I'm just going to improvise what I heard. So the story goes, there was a a drunk man. You know, this guy, an alcoholic. He was like he was just causing chaos, everything like that. And this drunk guy, one night he's just drinking. He blacks out, and he wakes up in the morning. You know, this guy's he's like kind of a bum. Like he doesn't have a place to live. He doesn't have any money. But he drinks a lot of alcohol. So he drinks alcohol, blacks out. In the morning, he wakes up, he opens his eyes, and he looks around and he's like, where am I? And he's in this you know, he's in Vegas. He's in this penthouse suite, like this like palace essentially. And when he wakes up, he sees these other people around him. They're like butlers or servants or whatever you want to say, and they say, Mr. Smith being the alcoholic, well, you know, good morning. How can I help you this morning? And Mr. Smith, or the drunk guy, is like, hey, like, what are you doing here? Like, where am I? He's like, Mr. Smith, this is your place. And so Mr. Smith is like, wait, what are you talking about? This isn't my place. Like, but why? Yes, Mr. Smith, everything here is yours. This is all yours. What would you like to eat this morning? He's like, wait, this is mine. Can I have steak and lobster? Yes, absolutely, sir. So he gets his steak and lobster. He's eating. He's super happy. And the next thing he does is he goes downstairs and he 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 goes to the casino and he starts gambling. You might have heard the story already, for some of you, but he starts gambling, and you know, he's playing craps, he's playing whatever roulette, and every single time he plays, he wins. You know, so when he's down there, like, he wins all his money. He's making like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and like he's super happy. He's like, you know, he's like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing, and he's like, wow, like this is so much fun. This is incredible. And all of a sudden, he notices that he's attracting a lot of attention. He's attracting a lot of girls, you know, so girls are all over him. He's living the life, like everything is amazing, and he's just like, dude, this is crazy. And he goes back to his room, you know, goes to sleep. Next day, he wakes up in the morning. He goes down to the casino again, and again, he's making a ton of money. He's like 50,000, 100,000, half a million, a million, and like he's super excited. He's like, this is crazy. And again, you know, all the girls he's attracting a lot of girls with his wealth and everything like that, his fame, and over time, it keeps every single day, same thing. He get to eat whatever he wants. Like life is so great. It's incredible. A few months passes by, you know, 3 months, 4 months, and he starts to notice, you know, he's making a lot of money. He has all these girls. He has everything that he wants. But the problem is, he's like, man, this is getting boring. You know, like all I do is I just keep winning. Like, why do I just keep winning? You know, like there's no challenge. And the moral of the story is, when we don't have challenges, when we don't have struggles in our lives, sometimes life can get really boring and it could lose its purpose. So please forgive me, was that Alex? I think Alex, you mentioned this point of how sadness creates happiness. So I believe without our challenges in our lives, it's hard for us to see that perspective. It's hard for us to truly enjoy the journey of our life. If we have everything that is set in front of us, I believe that that will, in a way, get boring. You know, that challenges is what, in a way, creates happiness. Our challenges are things that make life difficult, in a way, bring us joy. So that's the story I want to share with you. Alrighty. Hope you enjoyed that story. That story was told to me by my mentor, Javon Langford's mentor. His name is Evan Money, coincidentally. Evan's a really cool guy. So I don't know if some of you might be watching the stream who might know who he is. Shout out to Evan Money. And that story that I just told you was apparently from the Twilight Zone. So not an original story by me or Evan. It was by the Twilight Zone. So anyway, I like that story. Alrighty. I'm going to read your comments, and then at the end, I'm going to wrap up with a quick little comment around how do we balance enjoying the life and working hard, and my thoughts on this. Okay, let's go. I see lots of comments here. Da-da-da. Okay. Kitty Marie. Kitty Marie says, Richard, my self esteem has been low for 3 years. Because of this, I feel so insecure and unwanted. I remember when I told everyone I was leaving, then they became happy. Please help. Okay. Yes, definitely. All right, Kitty, let's do this. So your self esteem has been low for the past 3 years, and because of this, you feel insecure and unwanted. And you told everyone that you were leaving, and because of this, they became happy. So were they? I guess I'm trying to clarify. Are they happy because you're leaving, or are they becoming happy in the way of like, you in a way you almost like put a little threat on the table, like, hey, I'm, if no one feeds my attention or whatever it is, my insecurities, I'm going to leave. So then they became, oh, okay. So thank you for clarifying that very quickly. So that they're happy that you're leaving. Which, okay, so if they're happy that you're leaving, obviously that does not support your self esteem. That makes you feel like that you're even more insecure, and that gives you more reasons that you're unwanted. So let's break this down. Kitty, I don't know who you are. I don't know your situation. But what I do know is that you are a incredible human being. That you are a powerful human being. And I don't say that to be cheesy. I say that because every single human being has value. And there is not a single human being in this whole entire world that does not have value. There is not a single human being in this world that is less than anyone else. Or in the opposite sense, there's no human being that's greater than anyone else either. Like, as human beings, we're all equal. And society, our social construct has created this idea that, if you have more money or if you have more power or whatever it is, that you are better than someone else. No, we're all human beings. We're all equal. That's my philosophy on it. So let's talk about self-esteem real quick. Where does self-esteem come from? I think self-esteem comes from a lot of different areas. Self-esteem comes from, a lot of it is our upbringing. It's how we at a young age relate with our environment. It comes a lot from parents. How did our parents treat us? And not only how did our parents treat us, but how did we interact with our parents? So I'll share my quick story in a nutshell. My quick story in a nutshell was, I'll just talk about the key players in my family. Mom, brother, sister. Those were the key factors that affected my self-esteem greatly growing up. Let me give you the quick summary. I grew up with super low self-esteem, very, very low self-esteem. Like, it was atrocious. It was like I hated myself so much growing up. And here's why. Grew up with my mom. Mom had super high expectations, wanted us to be the best of the best, expected straight A's. My brother and sister both got straight A's. They were the perfect Asian role model children. They did really well in school. They were really outgoing, all this kind of stuff. And myself, I was the exact opposite. I never did well in school. I was overweight. I felt very insecure. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I lived up to the Kuo family name. I felt like a disgrace. So yes, I struggled a ton with my self-esteem throughout my whole entire life, from when I was born all the way until, I don't know, 24 or something like that. So it's always been a challenge for me. So self-esteem, I guess number one is just know that, you're not wrong for having low self-esteem. It doesn't make you any less of a person if you have low self-esteem. It just means that the way you interacted with your previous life created this kind of concept of who you are. And your self-image to yourself is that you're this insecure, unwanted person. And it's really interesting. It's like, once we change our beliefs about ourselves, our world will change, and the way people relate with us will change. Yeah. So hold on. I want to stick to your point right here. Okay. So hold on. Let me see. I want to make sure that I'm addressing all these things. Kitty also says, when I canceled leaving, they became upset. I feel like I'm a blister on everyone's heels. Thanks, Alex. Kitty, if you don't mind, I'd love to, if you don't mind, if you're open to this, I would love to hear a little bit more about, like, what's kind of the situation? How old are you? Are you in school? Are you living at home with your parents? Like, who are you living with? Just so I get a context of what the situation is. Who is upset? Who's these family members who are upset that you're not leaving? Um, are you living with, um, like a half parent or whatever it is what they call it, like a half parent? Anyway, let me know what the situation is in a nutshell. Um, Context helps me a lot. Okay, so okay, so here's a few thoughts as if you're typing that out, Kitty. Um, I was going to move with my parents. Uh, let's see. I do need a little more clarity here. Anyway, it's okay. I would like to know, but it's not necessary. So here's what I'll say. What I'll say is, in general, if people do not support you, if people are like, if there's negative energy in your life, my suggestion to you is to get away from the negative energy. It's like life is too short to be unhappy. And if you got people in your life who are putting you down, who are not making you feel good about yourself, it's time to move forward. I know they're family, I know you love them or whatever it is. But there needs to be boundaries. If your family is supportive, if your family is aligning with who you want to be as an individual, great. However, if your family is putting you down, if they're pushing you down and they're holding you back from you being either A, happy, and or B, achieving the goals and your visions of who you want to be, then it's time to let go. It's time to recreate your family. That's my opinion. It's you could say it's a little bit quote unquote harsh or whatever it is, but like I've learned this on my own journey as well. I love my parents, and I still talk to my parents, but it's like I've learned to. I have great parents. I don't have alcoholic parents. I have great parents. It's just like I choose to spend my energy around people who are more focused on pushing me or like also going in the same direction that I am. Like for example, my mom. I love my mom. She's great. My mom is supportive, but she's more neutral. She's like, "Hey, Richard, how's it going, Richard?" Or it's not like, don't do this, don't do that. She used to be very, don't do this, don't do that. You have to do this. She used to tell me what to do. Now she's very like in the middle, like, "Hey, how's your speaking going?" Whatever. I'm like, "Oh, it's going pretty great." She's like, "Okay, cool," but she doesn't get super involved with it. She doesn't be like, "Oh, how can I support you with it?" No, she's happy for me, which is great. So, that I would say is more of a neutral / supportive energy. So I'm more than happy to keep in touch with my mom. And I don't live with my mom. But I still do talk to her. But for me, it's not that I'm trying to spend less time with my mom. It's more that I'm trying to spend more intentional time with people who are supporting me towards my vision. So, girl I'm dating, friends, things like that. Like all these people are people who are supporting me towards my vision and supporting me towards a more happy lifestyle. And I know family, there's different family values, and I've had to learn this kind of the hard way. I grew up in an Asian family. I am Asian. Asian family values are very, very tight. Family in Asian culture, family is super high. Family is like almost number one on the priority list. It's like, spend time with family, like all these different things. But I've had to learn how to balance and really focus on, what's kind of going to build up my happiness / my own self-esteem. So, what's supported me that I'm passing on to you, Kitty, is surround yourself with people who are going to build up your self-esteem. Surround yourself with positive people. If people are putting you down, either A, have the conversation like, "Hey, I don't appreciate you doing that," or B, if it's not worth your time, move on to someone who's going to support you. Because, we don't deserve to hang out with people who are not going to support us. Like I've gotten rid of a lot of friends who I don't want to say gotten rid of. That's a very harsh. I've stopped spending time with people who are pushing me down, people who are taking away my energy, and I'm focusing on either myself or spending time with positive people who are going to lift me up. So that's what I have there. Alrighty. Kitty says, one girl at school cussed me out when my parents and I decided not to move. Um, okay, so Kitty, what I'm hearing is there's a lot of negative energy in your environment, not just at home, but also at your school. And um, man, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't know your full situation, but it sounds pretty intense. It sounds kind of crazy. Like, it sounds kind of crazy. It's like it sounds like you're in an environment that is not supportive at all. And sometimes it's like I don't know how to say it's like sometimes it's hard to get out of the environment that we're in. And honestly, sometimes it's almost not realistic. Uh, sometimes we are all given a certain hand, like poker, like a hand. And life is not fair in that way, unfortunately. It's like some hands are better than others, but at the end of the day, it's how do you play your hand? Um, so we got to make the most of whatever that we have. It's for the most part, um, we don't have the worst life. We're not the worst off in this whole entire world. There's always people who are quote unquote worse off. That's a sticky conversation to get into. Um, hmm. Let's see here. I think it is hard to find yourself, and I have fun while you are young. Let's see. Okay. So, Kitty, hold on. I want to wrap up this conversation with about self-esteem. How do we? I guess the question is, how do we build our self-esteem? How do we not let other people affect what affect us? Um, Again, number one, surround yourself with a lot of positive people. And if people are being negative to you, if you know in general, this person is not a positive influence to you, move on. And Kitty, what I want you to know is that you are wanted. Okay, so how do I say this? Please, man, this is I don't know if this is helpful. I'm just gonna say it anyway. Please stop listening to the negative voice inside your head that is telling you that you are unwanted. You are not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You are not capable. You're not accepted. You're not cool. No one likes you. Please stop focusing on that focusing your mind on that negative energy. That negative voice. I call it Felicia. I want to re-nickname it to Negative Nancy. Please stop listening to that voice because it's just a voice. It's not the truth. It's just a voice. And start focusing on the positive, vision-oriented voice, the one that's telling you that you can do it, that you are capable, that you will accomplish it. So all that is they're just voices. They're just conversations in our head. So focus on the positive, not on the negative voice. I know that's super basic. We can go into like hours of conversation about this. If it sounds cheesy, like if you dig deep into it, you'll understand why. Like these are just voices. They're not wrong. They're not right, wrong. All that stuff. They're not true, false. They're just voices. So, we got to get over those self-limiting beliefs. That's number one. And that's number two. Surround yourself with positive people. Let's see. Yep. And there's so much to it. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. All right, already. All right, the Swaggy. Swaggy says, what would you say is the most important thing to know going throughout your teenage years? Most important thing to know going throughout your teenage years. That's a great question. For me, again, like I'm kind of my world revolves a lot around the self-worth, self-esteem conversation. So, what I would tell my younger self, or what I would say is the most important thing as a teenager, for most people, I would say is just know that you're good enough. Know that you don't need to be like everyone else. Know that you don't need to do everything that your parents tell you to do. I'm not encouraging being disrespectful to your parents. I believe in respect. I believe in honoring our parents, but at the same time, knowing the boundaries, like knowing that we are individuals. There's sometimes where our parents are right. There's times where we're like, hey, you know what? Your parents tell you to do something, and I don't know. It's like you gotta build up the self-awareness to know what is right, what is wrong. If you're being irresponsible, like, making those irresponsible choices, and your parents like, oh, hey, don't do that. Or if you're lying to your parents, I don't know how, like, if you're coming home late when your parents had, they're being very reasonable. They're like, I got one request of you, come home by whatever 10 p.m. You know, I trust you. Otherwise, just do this one thing for me. That's it. That is a very reasonable request. So respect your parents, but also know that your parents aren't always right. So you got to find that middle ground. It's a conversation. It's a relationship. Relationships are a two-way street. So again, the most important thing that you can know going through your teenage years is that I don't know how to say it. It's like that you're good enough. I would say that's a big thing. Hold on. I would say know that you're good enough. Know that you're worthy. Know that nobody is better than you. Know that you are not better than anyone else. Know that you are deserving of success. That you are worthy. What else I have to say here? Know that you are capable. Like I think so many times, most of us as teenagers, we don't feel like we're capable, or we're less than, we're not smart enough. We compare ourselves with other people. We feel inadequate because our grades aren't good enough, or they could be better. What else? Wait, there's something else here. There's a lot of great things. Know that everything will be okay. So if you get rejected by a girl, if you get bad grades, if you don't get into the college of your dreams, if you get rejected socially, if you don't perform very well in your athletics or whatever it is, know that everything will be okay. And also work hard. Okay. So I gave a lot of things, but those are the things I would say. Alrighty. Kitty says, thanks, Richard. You made me have some happy tears. Not many folks say that. Awesome. I'm touched, and how do I say this? I don't know how to say this. It's like, I understand not a lot of people say these positive things, like, you are worthy, you are capable, you are wanted, you are beautiful, all these affirmations. And unfortunately, because no one really says these, they almost, sometimes when I say them, like, I know in my heart that what I'm saying is not just fluff. It's not just to make you feel better. Like, I know in my heart that it's something that I believe. I believe that you are beautiful. I believe that you are capable. I believe that you are worthy. I believe that you are worthy of success and will be successful so long as you choose. These are things that I believe in my heart. And how do I say this? I believe them wholeheartedly because, from my perspective, I know I've seen human beings, and I know human beings, and I know that all human beings have worth. So that's what I'll say. Alex Washington says, people lie when they say they got it together. You're young. It gets better. That's a great teenage advice. So I love that. And I've heard this from the most successful people too, where people say, like, imagine someone who's really successful. Let's say it's like it's Oprah Winfrey, or it's who else is out there? It's DJ Khaled or something. And like, my point is, I love it when people, like successful people, say, like, everyone's trying to pretend that they got it together. Like, even we as adults don't have it together. Like, we don't. Sometimes we just pretend that we have it together when we don't. Nobody has their life together. Everyone's trying to figure it out. Your mom, parents your parents do not have their life together. Your teachers do not have their life together. Like, I don't have my life together. Nobody has their life together. We're all just trying to figure out life as we go. And for anyone, like, I used to trust my parent. I used to think my mom was perfect and all that stuff. And now I realize she is far from perfect. That took me very, 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 very many years of my life to figure out that my mom was not perfect. At least 21 years of my life, I used to think she was perfect. Everything she said was right. I was wrong. Nobody is perfect. That's what I've learned, finally. Okay, Swaggy says, oh yeah, man, I completely agree with what you're saying. Thanks, man. That was really helpful. I'm glad. You're welcome. Alex says, just listen to Good Times, a theme song. LOL, good night. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to do one last thing, unless there's other last minute comments or questions, but I'm going to wrap up with today's topic, which is balancing enjoying life plus working hard. So I'm going to speak from my perspective. This is my adult perspective of my 28-year-old self. I'm not saying as a student or whatever, but you can take what you hear me say and, take whatever makes sense to you and apply to your own life if it makes sense. Um, so let's see. What I'll say is, how do you balance enjoying life and working hard at the same time? I believe at the end of the day, you got to figure out that right balance of, life is not just about working hard. Life is about enjoying the journey, enjoying this moment in our lives today, not yesterday, not like, January. I'm just going to use arbitrary numbers. January 5th, not January 20th. I'm talking about January 14th. Today's 14th, right? Or 15th if you're on the 15th already, depending on where you are in the world. Point being is, enjoy your life, balance. It's about the journey, not the destination. I think today I worked, I overwhelmed, what's that word? I burnt out today. I was burnt out from work. I didn't want to work today. And I realized I wasn't, how do I say this? Yes, I have work to do. Yes, I'm still going to push myself. I'm still going to work hard. And at the same time, I'm also going to give myself permission to enjoy my life every single day. I'm going to give myself permission to, at times during the day, to not work, because I'm one of those people, wake up in the morning, grind all day long until I go to sleep. That's the way I work. But I got to give myself permission when I notice that I'm burnt out to take a break and to not work. Take care of myself. Okay. All right. So that's what I have. Lee Allison, hello, says hello from New Zealand. Hello. That's it's super cool to see people, all across the world. Okay. With that being said, I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, same time, at about an hour earlier. Right now it's 9:17. So 1 hour earlier is when we start. Same time every single day. Fun little fact. So I don't know if anyone who subscribed to my notifications on my channel. I did not realize. Here's a fun fact. The fun fact is I lost 100 subscribers in one day. And here, let me share with you why. Because I scheduled all my live streams. I'm like, well, instead of doing it, scheduling the live streams one per each day, I'm just going to schedule all my live streams for the month of January. So I scheduled about 21 live streams and I publish it as public. What I did not realize was that if I publish it as public, it notifies anyone who subscribed to it. So 100 people unsubscribed from my channel because I spam them with like 20 to 25 different notifications of when I'm doing live streams, which is every single day at 8 p.m. I just thought that was hilarious. So I want to share with you a fun little fact. So if you're ever going to do daily live streams, note to self, note to you, publish them as unlisted. That's what I got. Okay, good night, everyone. See you on tomorrow, 8 p.m. Bye.